Have you ever set some huge, life-changing goal, and then, poof, a week later it's just a distant memory? Yep, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to dig into James Clear's Atomic Habits because it gets at this really counterintuitive truth. The secret to getting massive results isn't about taking massive action. It's actually about something much, much smaller.
Right off the bat, this one idea just flips everything we think we know about self-improvement completely on its head. We're always told, aim high, set big, ambitious goals. But Clear argues that our goals, they don't really determine our success. Our systems do. It's not about gritting your teeth with willpower. It's about the daily processes you put into place.
I mean, we've all felt that spark of motivation, right? This is the year I finally get in shape. You go all in for a week, maybe two, and then it just kind of fizzles out. We slide right back into our old routines. And that's because we think success requires this huge rocket ship launch of effort. But what if the real path to change is more like a paper airplane? Gentle, consistent, and surprisingly powerful over the long haul.
To really see this idea in action, let's look at one of the greatest comeback stories in all of sports history. I'm talking about the British cycling team. It's just a brilliant illustration of the power of making tiny gains. So, you have to understand, for nearly 100 years, British cycling was, well, they were a joke, a total laughingstock. In almost a century, they had managed to win just one Olympic gold medal. Their performance was so consistently bad, the top bike companies literally refused to sell them their equipment because they were afraid it would hurt their brand. That's how bad things were.
But then, in 2003, a new performance director, a guy named Dave Brailsford, showed up with this deceptively simple philosophy. He called it the aggregation of marginal gains. And the core idea was this. What if you broke down every single thing that goes into riding a bike, and then just improved each little piece by just 1%? The theory was, all those tiny improvements would add up to something huge.
And they got absolutely obsessive about it. I'm not just talking about the obvious stuff, like redesigning bike seats for more comfort or rubbing alcohol on tires for better grip. Oh no, they hired a surgeon just to teach the riders the right way to wash their hands to avoid colds. They tested different massage gels for muscle recovery. They even figured out the perfect pillow and mattress for each individual rider to guarantee the best night's sleep. No detail was too small in their hunt for that 1% improvement.
So did it work? Oh boy, did it work. The results were anything but marginal. In the decade that followed, the team racked up 178 world championships, 66 Olympic and Paralympic gold medals, and they won the Tour de France 5 different times. It's now considered the most successful run in the history of cycling, and it was all built on that simple foundation of tiny 1% improvements.
So what does the cycling team have to do with us? Well, this is where the real magic happens. James Clear calls this the compound interest of self-improvement. And it's just like money in a bank account. The tiny effects of your habits multiply over time. A 1% improvement seems so small you'd barely notice it on any given day. But the long-term impact? It is absolutely staggering.
In fact, let's just put some math to this because it's kind of wild. If you were to get just 1% better at something every single day for 1 year, what's the result? You wouldn't be 365% better. No. Because of compounding, you'd be almost 38 times better by the end of the year. Let that sink in. 38 times. That's the explosive power of just showing up and making those tiny daily gains.
But here's the problem we all run into. If this is so powerful, why do we give up on our new habits so quickly? Well, it's because the most powerful outcomes, they're delayed.
Here's the trap we all fall into. We expect our progress to look like a straight upward line. We put in the work, and we want to see immediate, steady results. But reality looks very different. For weeks, sometimes even months, our efforts just don't seem to pay off. Clear calls this incredibly frustrating period the valley of disappointment. It's that point where it feels like you're not making any progress at all, and it's the #1 reason most of us quit.
I absolutely love this analogy from the book. Think about a stonecutter just hammering away at a massive rock. For the first 100 swings, nothing happens, not a crack. Then, on the 101st blow, the whole thing splits in two. Now, was it that final hit that did all the work? Of course not. It was the accumulation of all the hits that came before it. Your efforts in the valley of disappointment aren't being wasted. They're being stored.
So how do we stick with it long enough to actually break through that plateau? Well, the key is a fundamental shift in our approach. It's about moving away from just setting goals.
And this brings us to a really crucial mindset shift. You have to focus on systems, not goals. So what's the difference? A goal is a result you want to achieve, like losing 20 pounds or writing a novel. A system is the process that leads to those results, your daily workout, your writing schedule. And here's the kicker. Winners and losers in any field often have the exact same goals. The real difference is their system.
But building a system is only part of the story. To make a change truly stick, we have to go one level deeper. You can think of behavior change as having 3 layers. On the outside, you have your outcomes. That's what you get. In the middle, you have your processes. That's what you do. But at the very core, the deepest layer is your identity. That's what you believe. And the most powerful, lasting change always starts with your identity. See, most of us try to change from the outside in. We start with the result we want, the outcome, and we try to force ourselves into new actions. But the most effective approach is to flip that completely around. You start from the inside out. You start by focusing on who you wish to become.
This example from the book just perfectly illustrates the power of this. Imagine 2 people are offered a cigarette. The first person says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." They still see themselves as a smoker who's just resisting an urge. But the second person says, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker." Do you feel that difference? It's such a subtle shift in language, but it reflects a massive shift in identity. One is a statement of hope, the other is a statement of fact. So, how do we actually change our identity? Well, the beautiful thing is, your identity isn't fixed. It's something you build brick by brick with every single action you take. Every habit is like a piece of evidence, a little suggestion to yourself that says, hey, maybe this is who I am now. And the process is actually really simple, just 2 steps. First, decide what type of person you want to be, not what you want to achieve, but who. Do you want to be a healthy person, a consistent writer, a calm parent? Then, step 2, prove it to yourself with small, consistent wins. This is the engine that drives identity change. Every single action you take is like casting a vote for the type of person you wish to become. You meditate for 1 minute? That's a vote for being a calm person. You do 1 push-up? That's a vote for being an athletic person. These small wins are the evidence you use to build a new belief about yourself.
And that really brings us to the ultimate point of Atomic Habits. The goal isn't just to run a marathon, it's to become a runner. The goal is not to write a book, it's to become a writer. Your habits are just the path to changing your identity. So the real question isn't what you want to achieve, it's who you want to become. And what's one small vote you can cast for that person today?